Good evening. Hello? Are you guys it on?
Yes, good evening.
Sort of, kind of on? Can you hear it? Is it? Okay.
It's just low.
Is it really low? Okay. I will try to talk louder then. We've already opened the meeting somewhat because we had executive session. But if you would please rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since we had kind of an unusual opening to our meeting, was there anyone that had a green sheet that they'd like to turn in now? Anyone that wanted to speak? Nope. Okay. Thank you. We'll go through the item A is the approval of minutes. And the approval of minutes for the regular board meeting held on August 17th of 2023. Item B is the approval of the financial report, August 31st of 2023.
Everything's pretty much on track. Next month we will get the first updated foundation payments, and so then that'll kind of give us a better look at what the rest of the year is going to look like in terms of state funding.
Okay. Corey, do you have anything now that you want to say about anything to deal with state funding, or you want to wait till the end?
I don't have anything about state funding.
Okay, good. Okay, next we'll have the recognition of citizens, staff, and students. And do we want to do the recognition first or do the presentation? The thing for Kathy.
We just signed that for this evening. I don't think we're presenting it this evening.
We're not going to read it or anything?
No.
Okay.
She'll be here in December, so.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Okay, let's go to the Mound Elementary presentation.
Right, ladies. Good evening.
Good
Is this
evening.
working? Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, yours is better.
Hi. I am Diana Keller, and I'm privileged to be the principal at Mound Elementary. This is my third year in this great district, and I asked these two wonderful teachers to join me, Denise McGill, first grade teacher, and Gina Elson, fifth grade teacher. So we just thought maybe this first, or maybe what I perceive as the first official meeting of a school year. I know you meet all year round. We wanted to just kind of highlight a few things and have a little bit of fun with you also. So our PTA is super involved, and they have a tradition, and we just recently had, thank you, our fourth annual Viking hunt. It did used to be called a gopher hunt. It's a Viking hunt now. And basically it's a great cooperation between local businesses, our PTA, and a fun evening for families. So I'm going to pass out, maybe I'll just hand it, that's perfect, thank you. This is so great, teachers are so great. This, we're giving you the bingo sheet that all of the students received. And basically it's a scavenger hunt. So they have the opportunity to go and explore our community, but also within our building, some of these M's. So you see that M with the Viking hat, the mound, that's kind of our new emblem. That was hidden throughout our school and throughout the community, and families could go out and have an enjoyable time trying to find the M mound Viking. And if they got a bingo, they received a prize. And if they did a coverall, then their names went in a drawing for kind of a bigger prize. So we had 12 students that won tickets to the Plaza Theater. the next slide, I think, shows all those businesses that were partnered with us. So as you can see, lots and lots of great businesses. Well, Mrs. Elson, she was kind of one of the first staff members I met when I came 3 years ago. And just to give you a little preview of what you're about to see, she talked me into dressing up into a shark costume. Do you remember that, Mrs. Elson? And so for our Olympics that I think Mrs. Moore organized, the Olympic theme a couple years ago, we were in inflatable shark suits. So Mrs. Elson is always full of surprises, always finds a way to make school fun and connect with families. So I'm going to let her come up next to show you how she and her son went out and went about going on the Viking hunt.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you for having us here tonight. I did have a little bit of fun with this. I also had fun with it the first year it came out. I couldn't find any gophers that year either, and I definitely could not find any Viking M's this year either. So I looked at the sheet that is before you and tried to figure out some of these clues, and I just couldn't. So I figured I needed to go get my car washed
Do you guys see this on your monitors? Okay.
to wash my windows to see if maybe I had a better view to find some Viking M's somewhere. No luck there. And then I went down to the movie theater because I thought maybe one of the clues would work there. The movie theater was closed, and I still couldn't find an M. And then I was getting a little hungry, so I went down to Grandpa Joe's. Grandpa Joe's was interesting that night. I had to buy myself a sucker. Couldn't find the M, though. I could not find the M. But our Victor Viking did have a chance to take some pictures with some little kids that were there. It was cute. I surely was not going to find an M in a wine tasting place for an elementary school.
So she stayed outside.
Yeah. Once again, Victor the Viking behaved himself. There is my son, Victor the Viking, that night. And it was hot, and I'll just put a plug in for the high school now. They got to do something with that costume. It's hot. There you go. Whew. Yes, it does. So I just wore myself out by the time I got to the Senior Citizens Center. I could not find that M anywhere. And last but not least, I did get a free space on the on the bingo board because you had to take a selfie. So I took my selfie. My daughter taught me how to do the fish face. So I took my selfie and at least got one spot on that board. And I would like to thank, and then I had to have dinner because I got tired of looking for those M's, couldn't find them, so I just took pizza home. So, and I would like to thank my husband too. He was my photographer, and of course my son was Victor, and Jason for letting us borrow the costume. It was a lot of fun. So, and
watching your journey.
thank you. And it was fun. And today I had a cute little conversation with a little person at school that asked me if I was the person who was looking for the M's. And I said, yes, I was. And she said, did you find any? I was like, no, I did not find any of them. She said, they were right there in the pictures. So it was fun. It's fun to work with the kids that way. So thank you.
Thank you.
And then next, wanted to share with you a little bit about Purposeful People, and that might sound familiar to you, or you will be learning more about it, but just wanted to give you a little sneak preview. It is an organization or company called Character Strong, and Purposeful, think of it, that is how it's spelled. It's people full of purpose. So it's an SEL program. It's something that our district has supported this year for all schools, elementary schools, to have access to. And it's been a great resource. We have our daily announcements we take straight from there. We all have a consistent word that we're using for a month. So we're just finishing up the word respect, and we'll be going into responsibility next week. So that's just a little slide that says it teaches skills that will help students be successful in school and in life. And then on the next slide, what you will see, I'll hand this to my paper passer. Thank you, Mrs. McGill. This is the new elementary matrix. And the 7 principals, and a couple are here with me tonight, we worked together this summer to look at our separate building matrices for behavior expectations. They are all quite similar, and we worked together to come up with consistent language that we wanted to use with the new purposeful people language of be kind, be strong, and be well. So on your screen there, you can see there are 9 words, 3 within each of those: empathy, respect, cooperation, responsibility, courage, and perseverance, gratitude, honesty, and creativity. Those are the words we'll be focusing on, 1 each month. But this is an example of just a kind of a united effort of the 7 elementary principals. We all have these posted in our buildings, and we are all working to teach our students what these expectations look like in each of our schools. I don't know, Mrs. McGill, I'm going to put you on the spot, but do you want to share a little bit about Purposeful People and how you felt about it as a teacher? And then we have a little video for you from her class.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. So this would be my first time of using Purposeful People, so I have to tell the kids constantly, give me a minute, I gotta read. New to it too. But what I have done, what we've done so far, I have really enjoyed. There's just so many great parts about it, and I love how there's a different word, and you work on that word for a whole month. So we did just do respect. And we must be a week ahead because we're already on responsibility, so I'm not sure, but that's okay. And there's a fun. I think it's leveled at different levels for each grade level, so it's fun. It gives a different little activity for each day. Friday's always a read aloud book, and if it's a book that I don't have, we can always find it on YouTube, and they can listen to it and watch it. But a lot of the books are books that I already have in my classroom. And there is a song that they learn. Can learn, whatever. But there's a song that goes with each one of the words. So we did finish respect, and we did that for 4 weeks. So they love it. They love it, and they just work really hard. They want to sing the song. So like if I skip the song, you forgot the song. Okay, let me go back and find it. So and there's just different activities. Like we're doing one right now. Called, but there's a balloon, and as it falls from the air, it gives you them like a category, and I'll say name 3 foods, and they have to name the 3 foods quickly before the balloon hits on the screen. It's all on the screen, so it's just really cool. They love it. It's really engaging. I use Purposeful People after I do my morning meeting. I love morning meeting. It's my favorite part of the day. So I have not strayed away from the way I used to do that. My SEL time is a little bit longer than maybe some, but I think it's good. And I think these are things that kids need to learn, and it's important. And if we have a problem, was that respectful? No. Okay, what could we have done differently? So it's that kind of thing. So this is just a portion of my class. The song is like 2 minutes long, which we couldn't do it that long. But this is just a portion of my class singing the respect song. Great job. Great job. Yep.
So I think that's what we had to share with you. Oh, you like it so much, Mrs. Lucas. That's what we had to share with you, but we do have one parting gift. Because we can't come from Mound Elementary and not give you a Mound candy bar, right? But in case you're feeling like a nut, little like Mrs. Elson, you can choose Almond Joy. So one for each of you. Thanks so much. Surprise and delight. Surprise and delight. Exactly. Wonderful. Exactly. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate it.
Well done. I'll be looking for Gina around town now.
Yeah, thanks for all you do. We appreciate you.
Oh, yeah. That was good, though.
Nice job. That was nice.
It's fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Denise. Thanks, Gina. Nice job.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun, and please thank the children. Tell them that they definitely had us laughing and we enjoyed it. Okay. Thank you.
Student who questioned her had to have been from my room because I showed that. So I'm trying to figure out which student questioned her.
That's good. That was good. National Custodian Day, October 2nd of 2023. They work while we sleep. Sometimes we walk around them in the halls, not always seeing them or their work as important. That's why we celebrate National Custodian Day, which rolls around every October 2nd. It recognizes the hard work that it takes to keep our public facilities in tip-top shape, as well as the people who diligently work to make sure we have schools and workplaces that are spotless and sanitary. Custodians are a first line of defense on the war against germs, and often it is a thankless task. National Custodian Day shows appreciation to the custodians who clean the office buildings and schools. And I think all of us here have seen the job that the custodians do, and I personally am very proud of what I see in our district, having been in and out of a lot of schools in my long tenure in education. There's no finer, cleaner, more sanitary schools that I've seen anywhere that we've gone to than our schools are. So.
Hey, Dale, I just want to make a comment real quick. So it's our students really love our custodians, and if you've been in the elementary, even the middle school during lunchtime, they know all the students, and the students know them, and it's just they're a part of the building, they're part of the culture and all that. And Dale, as you said before, I would put up our custodians against any other custodians, but our kids love them. They love them, and many of our custodians, especially at the Weavite games and cheerleaders and all that, they will go and watch the kids. And I think that speaks volume of them taking time out to do that. So I just wanted to pass along and share and show my thankfulness for them as well. So very, very blessed to work with them.
I think most everybody in this room probably remembers at least one custodian that was kind of special as you were growing up, going from school to school. I know my elementary custodian, he was the bomb. You know, he knew every kid's name in the building, and he was probably, we thought he was 80 or 100 years old back then, you know, but probably wasn't as old as I am now. But anyway, his name was Mr. King, and I can remember, how kind he was, and sometimes fun, and everything in the hallway. And he'd always stand there at the doorway with his broom and to trip somebody on the way in, and they knew it was coming. Everybody knew, so everybody was watching to see if who was going to get tripped. If he was the person that got tripped, he was really cool that day, Next is the Fire Prevention Week, and I was going to let Mr. Amsler do this, but I thought, well, you know what, his name's mentioned in there, so I'm going to go on ahead and do it myself. Next month, our buildings will participate in Fire Prevention Week. Since 1922, the NFPA has sponsored the public observance of Fire Prevention Week. In 1925, President Calvin Coolidge proclaimed Fire Prevention Week a national observance, making it the longest-running public health observance in our country. During Fire Prevention Week, children, adults, and teachers learn how to stay safe in case of a fire. Firefighters provide life-saving public education in an effort to drastically decrease the casualties caused by fires. This year's theme is Cooking Safety Starts With You. Pay attention to the fire prevention. This year, Fire Prevention Week is observed the October 8th through the 14th, reinforcing the critical importance of developing a home escape plan with all members of the household and practicing it regularly. Our district is appreciative and would like to thank the men and women who serve as part of the Miami Valley Fire District and the surrounding fire districts as well. We would also like to thank members of the Miami Valley Fire District, namely Mr. Bob Pugh and Mr. Chris Amsler, for providing a variety of resources for our students. Chris, I know personally how you put yourself into things like this. I've said this before, and somebody may have heard me. Chris played ball for me. I was his coach years ago, and he goes at life at 110%. And the way that he does this, because I know his heart is in, especially children and children's lives, and so he really puts his heart into making sure that our kids are safe. And Chris, thank you. I personally want to thank you, and please pass that on to Chief Pugh's force, okay?
I will. I mean, thanks. I know we work diligently with Mr. Homan and every principal that we have in the district. I know just yesterday morning discussion was talked about with Kelly Thomas, the groups going down there to each one of the wings to have lunch, and the firefighters going down there to have lunch with them or be in the classroom. And I know they were going to talk with Kelly either yesterday or today, I think it was. But I mean, a lot of stuff comes to Bob and I, but we pass it on to Mike Rink now because we're so busy out in the district that he's kind of taken the lead on that. But we assist them when they need it, and it's always enjoyable to get in the schools and interact with the kids. So the firefighters like it. I know the first day of school, I mean, they always like to go out to the schools the first day of school and wish them back and all that. So thank you, and I'll pass it along. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Next, we'll go to item D. It's the board discussion and district investments. I will turn over to Mr. Blevins.
All right. I don't have a whole lot to report other than, we've split the investments between a couple different investment firms. And so we're just tracking that and trying to keep an eye on how much money we're bringing in through each different firm. And we recently switched over our checking within Fifth Third to take advantage of higher interest rates and are earning a little more each month in interest on the accounts. I think this past month we earned close to $80,000 in interest on those.
That's a first-year teacher salary, counting all the benefits. Maybe a little more. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, that's that's meaningful when you look at it that way. That's another person or two in there with their children. So, thank you for doing that, Mr. Blevins. The OSBA Regional Fall Conference will be October 12th of 2023. Anybody like to speak to that?
Sure, I think you all got your postcards. I mean, obviously, the state conference is a few weeks after that. So if anyone is interested in attending that, it is in Wilmington, and it is Thursday, October 12th from 5 to 8:30. If you're interested in attending, you just need to let Brenda know so she can get you registered by October 2nd, which is coming up. So I think you all received a postcard.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. We are, the board has been comprehending putting a student board member or possibly more than one student board member. Would anybody like to address that?
Sure. I mean, other school boards in the area have a student rep that sits on their board. They're a non-voting member, but they do provide perspective and feedback. I know Mrs. Neese attended a conference where she learned about that too. I've spoken with Centerville and West Carrollton about student voice on our board as part of our strategic plan. I think it's definitely something to consider. I mean, obviously, we can develop our plan here locally. I shared with the board this week, if we want to do an application process, do we want to have one student and they would be obligated to come every meeting? Do we want to have more than one and they rotate? Mr. Black at the high school does have an advisory council already. So there's all kinds of options. Just if whatever we decide, we would probably need to make some type of policy and get that implemented and proceed with some type of interview process or selection.
I know probably 16 years ago we did have a student representative, and we asked the student body president, and they accepted doing it, and then the senior president, senior class president was the alternate. And it was pretty easy to do, and those people are very they're acclimated to be good at that anyway for the most part. So and the kids, they voted for them. They're there because the kids wanted them to be there. So that's just a suggestion. Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Blessing, I'm talking to the board member this week that presented in Columbus, just to get some more information to share with the board, if that's okay with you all.
Sure.
We love it when you work in. Thank you. Next, kind of come to this one with a heavy heart. The NVCTC representative, as I believe everybody in this room probably knows, Joe Isakovich. He was a 8-year board member here and has been out at the NVCTC for eight years now. Chris, would it be 6?
I think maybe he went there as soon as when I came on the board, so that
Right.
would be 10 years.
10 years now. Okay, 10. Okay. Yeah, I know it's been a long time. So anyway, we need to replace him. And Joe's going to be tough to replace because he was everywhere and doing everything. But if anybody that's a business person out in our community that would like to represent the Miamisburg City School Board out at the NVCTC, please just make it known to Dr. Blessing or myself, and we can go from there. We're probably going to ask for a resume type thing, type of application type thing for anybody that would be interested in that. The people on the board can also be a representative for that, but we found out that as Miamisburg School District has grown and the NVCTC has grown, it's a lot, it's a lot. And a lot of people, I don't think, understand how much time that board members put in sometimes outside of meetings and stuff, but there's a lot of meetings that go on. And like for Joe, for what he went through here the last couple of years out there with construction, that's a whole lot. And that's kind of coming to fruition here. And also, I'd just like to mention this about Joe. The people out there thought so much of him, the other board members, that they made him the president of the board many times out there. So that just shows how much that he's appreciated, you know, and his death was very untimely and quick. So, anyway,
It is a 3-year appointment,
thank you.
and it's the second Tuesday of the month, I do believe, are the board meetings. I think that's what. So, I mean, it can be filled by a current board member or someone in the community that has a business focus and experience.
And we'll put that out, you know, be on websites and all that stuff, and we'll let people know who to contact and what they need to do. Okay, elementary enrollment update.
You want to click on that? Well, we've got some members here of the committee. I'll just start with the PowerPoint, and then if we have some questions, we can stop and just let us know. So we'll start as we have been for the last few months of just sharing the construction updates. That is the main reason why we are looking at making some changes at our elementary for next year, elementary programming. And on the first screen, you can just kind of see we've been focusing on the different areas around the community. The first slide after that is Aberdeen. It's almost complete. I was going to put an updated picture of the streets today, but I just ran out of time. But we are down, I think when I drove through there Tuesday afternoon, there were maybe 3 empty lots out of 125. So it is a very big addition right there next to Medler View School, and it's almost complete. The next big area we're focusing on is Chamberlain Crossing, which is across the street from Bauer Elementary. There are 300 home sites proposed. Chamberlain Crossing is one of those, and you can see that they have finished houses. So they have sold at least 4 finished houses in that area, and they have 2 more for sale that are ready to move into, and a couple lots that have been sold. So that is actually a house that's for sale. So I think MI should give us some advertising sponsorships, right, for sharing some of their information. So that is one of the 3 projects. And the next project is Rivendell, which is another housing project. I believe that house is sold in MI, if I remember correctly. But the next one is Rivendell, which is also part of Chamberlain Crossing. It's a Ryan Home Development. You access that through, is it Vienna Park? Vienna Park. And it has 81 home sites. 24 have been sold, and 12 are currently under construction. So if you drive through there, it's a busy area, as you can see, with lots of construction vehicles and definitely under construction. So that I would assume folks will be moving in sooner than later. And then the other area out there is called Redwood Apartments. So we might have to shift down a little bit. That's just some more information. Patriot Place, we still don't have any development yet over the river, just a lot of clearing. Redwood Apartments is at the bottom, I think. Yeah. If you go down to the apartments, yeah. So they actually are under construction there as well. And they have 7 residential units that are in process. You can see they've been framed, have some roofs and shingles. So we're not sure. You can go to their website. They are advertising different models and different prices already. We have another apartment complex down near Austin Landing that has 47 apartments. It's on the next page, I think. And their website is opening. Their website is open, and they are leasing. They don't say when you can move in. So those would be in the Jane Chance enrollment area. And so we're just watching Deer Park. So those are just some areas that have some construction expansion. So obviously the committee met just a week or so ago, and we looked at our enrollment data, which I shared with you last month. And we did begin reviewing enrollment maps and scenarios. So our committee has worked year-long since January, and it's now almost October. And we have looked at all kinds of scenarios and looked at our populations and areas of growth. And our committee has narrowed it down to, we feel like, with our 7 elementaries and with our class sizes and with our pockets of enrollment, we really have 2 options. We could redistrict. So we could take areas where the buildings are almost at capacity and move, neighborhoods and pockets and growth groups of children to areas that maybe don't have the growth that's being projected or seen throughout the community, or we could look at a grade banded model. And so we do have a draft of a redistricting map that Michelle, our transportation, was able to do and just take it on she had to take out the current kids in our current transportation map and do a one-day snapshot. And so we did that over the summer. We have that data. We're getting ready to share it out and present it. It just showed basically taking students from one enrollment area and putting it in another. And when you crunch those numbers, the data that I'm seeing is you might have 100 less students at Bauer, and maybe those students would now go to Medlerview or Jane Chance, so their numbers increase. We can't move them all, like let's take 6 kindergartners, 6 first graders, 6 second graders, all the way up and move those evenly. And so when you do that, you're still creating some pretty significant discrepancies in class sizes. So I'm hoping to get that out to the board and also to our community as we're getting ready to have another meeting Wednesday with our committee. The other option would be to look at our 7 elementaries and grade band them. And what that means is if you've been to one of the town halls, we talked about different configurations through our visits to other school districts, and also our research, and also with what we currently have in Miamisburg. We have 7 elementaries, so one model could be to grade band and make 4 of our elementaries K, 1, and 2 buildings, and then the other 3, 4, and 5. So if you were in, again, a Bauer attendance area, maybe you would go to Bauer for K, 1, and 2, and then when you're in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, you would go to Jane Chance. So we would take 2 neighborhood schools and combine them into buddy schools or zones, so that they can, if there are neighborhoods that are close to an elementary school, they would still attend there for part of their elementary career. And then we looked at doing Mound and Medlerview as zones or partner schools. So if you were a kindergarten, 1st or 2nd grader, we've mocked up Medlerview as that building. And then if you're in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade and live in Medlerview or Mound attendance area, you would go to Mound for 3, 4, and 5. It gets a little trickier when you look at our in-town schools. We've got Kinder, we've got Mark Twain, and then Bear just a few miles across the river, and making those 3 schools and looking at Bear as K1-2 and Mark Twain as K1-2, and then all of our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade would go to Kinder. So we have looked at those numbers. We have been able to balance class sizes, and the class sizes ranged at the most 25. So in doing so, we've been able to be more efficient with our staff, and have some free up some resources for possibly lead teachers, an additional counselor, and doing that without having to add staff. This year, right now, our largest class size at elementary is 33 students, and our smallest is probably 13 or 14 in one of our kindergarten classes. So we have some big disparities right now, and we're really trying to maximize our buildings with the different growth and new developments, which again we can't predict. When a house is built or purchased, what age the students are, and how to best manage the growth that we have. So, and we are seeing some growth in our preschool, and that's not really part of our enrollment study, but we talked today, Mrs. Lucas can share a little bit that we might have to be looking at some different possibilities with our preschool even this year. So.
So Sarah and I, Sarah Busick, who is our preschool supervisor for Maddox Lane, she and I meet regularly and talk about the numbers, and we are growing very rapidly at Maddox Lane. She is projecting that we will have less than 10 spots available come November, which means we have to start planning for where's where's that next classroom? Because students with disabilities, we have to provide that preschool service. So if we max out, we will have to have another classroom for preschool special needs, or mixed classroom that has both peers and preschool special needs. So we have to start having that discussion and deciding where's the possibility that could potentially be, and then we would have to start the licensing process, because any new building would not be licensed currently for ODGFS or ODE, so we would have to start that process fairly quickly. So we're keeping a close eye on that and making plans, but we did talk about it just preliminary this morning. So
Katie, how long does that licensing take once you start applying for it?
it depends on whether the entire building has to be licensed or whether we can do a classroom where a license already exists. So it could be a handful of months for
Okay.
a building to be licensed, and lots of paperwork.
All right, thanks.
We also met with Michelle at Transportation when we were looking at the grade banding scenario. Actually, she has some very recent experience. Bishop Leibel, which is in our enrollment area, decided to make one of their campuses, they added third grade to it from one campus to the other. Is that it? East. So she was able to use the transportation software and quickly reconfigure routes based on those numbers. Obviously, they have a smaller enrollment than we do, but she said we could definitely sit down and the scenarios that I just explained, look at and begin to figure out the exact timing of the bus routes, if that is the recommendation of the committee. So we talked earlier, I guess we just need to know from a board perspective what you need next from us before we bring the recommendation to the board in terms of information. We're planning to share both scenarios and the data that we have from that. We're working on some transportation routes and times. What other information would the committee need? We are meeting this coming week to formalize whatever recommendation information the board needs so that we can make a decision before the end of the calendar year.
So whenever that information gets compiled, we talked about work sessions, that would be at which time we would, probably have a pretty extended work session or two to discuss some things like that.
You just need to let us know when you'd like to have those, and we can get the information ready.
Okay, get it ready.
Yeah.
I think my sense is I would believe that this would be representative of the work of the committee, that we will probably be in pretty good shape to be able to provide that to you after our meeting next week. So I think
October-ish,
I think
maybe
October
before
is
break.
very realistic for us.
Before break, before October break.
I think we could have a work session, you mean?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. We'll do.
Yeah, I've asked for some cost analysis. If that would be available, that'd be great.
Cost analysis for what?
I would say busing, asked for, and also we talk about saving staff or promoting within. What does that look like? How is that saving us? What is it? I just want to see the numbers to it.
Yeah, we can do that. I know in our preliminary projections, using our current data with the grade banding scenario, we're able to decrease staff while also maintaining more consistent class sizes. So we have some preliminary data based on our live data for our current students.
And we do grade banding, and then we get a influx. We won't have class sizes over 25 or 26 or 27. Like, it eliminates that.
Yeah, we can be prepared to share all that with you. Yeah. Yep.
Do you fully utilize every school in this scenario?
Yes.
The thing that we have to remember about the schools is, like one thing that Mrs. Lucas was pointing out is that certain schools have certain abilities to handle certain needs. that some of the other schools don't. So that, that obviously, that certain students are going to have to attend those schools without, no matter where they live, they're going to be going there. And also, the thing about there's a 4 and a 3, well, we got 7 schools, but they don't all hold the same number of students. So, if you think about the way they're broken down, people ask you, well, if you do that, why is there 4 and why is there 3? Well, Bear School is the smallest school in the district, and compared to Kinder now holds what, 420 or something like that.
It has over 22 regular classrooms, 21 or 22 regular classrooms.
So all that stuff is playing a part in how all this is transitioning and stuff, which is important, and it's very difficult. It's something that's 2 years has been being talked about really for 2 years on how to get our class sizes smaller and
more consistent across the district versus so discrepant from one place to another.
I know Mrs. Coe behind me asked, but MD, our multiple disabilities population, in the current scenario that is being looked at, Medler View would hold the MD units for K1, 2, and then Jane Chance would hold MD units for 3, 4, 5. So that's how that would be split up. So they'd remain in the same building. They would just be grade banded the same as other students are.
So they would follow their peers when they move on to 3rd grade, and then move on to middle school.
Equipped for
Right, they were designed and have the capacity for that, for those programs, to remain that consistency too, because we know that's important for those students.
yeah, the state laws say that you got to have so many square feet per student, and if there's special needs students, that there's totally different demands for square footage and maybe the apparatuses and different things that equipment that they have to be able to even attend school. So, we okay? Anybody, any more questions right now?
No, I just was going to say our committee has some information about some data from schools that do grade band, academic data. We also had a great presentation from our principals about the advantages of grade banding for the principal, the teachers, the students, all the collaboration, not having one teacher on an island like at Bear School where there's only one 3rd grade teacher. It makes the curriculum stronger. People share ideas. Those kind of things were addressed, and I just really appreciate the talking points that the principals provided. They were very powerful.
Okay.
And I sent those all to you guys. Okay.
Yep, and thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the meeting opening items A through D.
I move for the approval of the meeting opening items A, Alpha through D, Delta.
And second?
Second.
First from Mr. Hamsler, second from Mr. Daffler. Roll call.
Mr. Tovine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Okay, and those items have passed. We'll move on to section 5, approval of resolution to suspend board policies. Item A is it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the following resolution to suspend board policies. The Family and Medical Leave Act expansion, Families First Coronavirus Response Act. Emergency Paid Sick Leave, Families First Coronavirus Response Act. Item B, you want to speak to that, or?
Sure. I mean, obviously, these are policies that we had to enact during COVID. We don't need these anymore. So as just part of the board the policy revision and updates, we can suspend them, and that way they're still in our system, but they're just not active policy right now. We don't believe we need those moving forward.
Okay, thank you. B is the approval. Yeah. We don't want any more of that. Approval of resolution to suspend board policies. It's recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the following resolutions to suspend board policies. And I already went through that. C, item C. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution to suspend board policies, items A and B. I have a motion, please.
I move that the Board of Education approve resolution to suspend, I'm sorry, items A through C.
It's items A through B,
A, B.
but this is item C. That's fine.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I thought they were together. Okay. All right.
Second.
First from Mrs. Neese, second from Mr. Ambler. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes. Okay, so those items have passed. Section 6 is the approval of adoption and revision of board policies. These are items A through C. Items A, it is recommended that the Board of Education waive the first reading of the following board policies: the safety program, buildings and grounds security, student absences and excuses, student suspension, and student expulsion.
I'll let Katie take that one.
So the,
Mrs. Lucas, yeah, thank you.
yeah, sorry. The attendance one, well, I'll let Steve do the safety one, but I'll do mine before. The attendance was, it had a reference to the COVID absences being an automatic excuse that didn't count against anyone. So we pulled that coronavirus reference out of there. The suspension and expulsions, one of my responsibilities is to make sure that all of the letters and policies and all of those things align. And as I was going through that, I found discrepancies on timelines between the board policy, the letters we were given, and what was in handbooks. So you'll find the handbooks later on. Just know that the reason the handbooks are in there is because, again, I was just trying to clean all those timelines up and make sure that they were all in line with the law. So the only thing that's changed in any of those policies is the timelines and aligning to the proper law that they go with.
Thank you. Mr. Homan?
The safety program and the building and ground security, one of the things that we've really been working hard, we put the vape detectors in the high schools and the middle schools, and the amount of alerts we're getting has now come down drastically. But now the other thing, and the reason we're looking at this, the policy would allow to use the wands, because what's happening now is they're hiding them. And so at least now, if someone is wanded and a metal thing goes off, they have the option of producing a metal thing, and then if not, that gives reasonable suspicion of them not doing that. So
They're metal detectors.
they're metal detectors, the metal detector wands. So in terms of that, that also gives us eventually down the road, if we ever needed to use it games or things like that, we also have them in there. Well, we did have metal detectors already in there, the regular machines, but we didn't have what I call the wands.
The portable.
The portable.
A lot of school districts use
Yeah.
those.
Yep. It's getting to be, unfortunately, not a popular item. Item B it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following board policies: safety program, building and grounds security, student absences and excuses, student suspensions, and student expulsions. And yes, those were exactly the same thing as item A, except one is to waive and one is to approve. So item C says, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve adoption revision of board policies, items A and B. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I move that the Board of Education approve adoption revision of board policy items A and B.
Thank you.
Second.
First from Mrs. Getter, second from Mr. Daffler. Roll call.
Mr. Daffler?
Yes.
Mrs. Getter?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mr. Amsley?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Neese, do you feel like reading consent agenda?
Sure. So, item A, we need the approval of overnight extended student trips. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following overnight extended student trips. Varsity Girls Golf Postseason Tournament, Chris Fisher, for the Varsity Girls Golf Postseason Tournament, Columbus, Ohio, September 25th through October 21st, 2023. Sean Ridley and Catherine Lay, Varsity Girls Tennis Postseason Tournament, College of Worcester, Ohio, October 2nd through October 20th, 2023. Jeremy Markowski, Rufera, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Faro.
Okay. Emily Sands, Austin Sup, Varsity Cross Country Postseason Tournament, Fortress Obetz and Memorial Park in Obetz, Ohio, October 2nd through November 4th, 2023. Tia Louisa, Miamisburg MVCTC FFA, Indianapolis, Indiana, November 1st through November 3rd, 2023. Stephen Aylward and Ryan Wintersheimer, MHS Marching Band, Indianapolis, Indiana, November 9th, 2023. Stephen Aylward and Ryan Wintersheimer, MHS Winds, Greenfield, Indiana, February 17th, 2024. Stephen Aylward and Ryan Wintersheimer, MHS Winds, Highland Heights, Kentucky, March 16th, 2024. Once again, Stephen Aylward and Ryan Wintersheimer, the MHS Winds, Highland Heights, Kentucky, April 20th, 2024. And then Chris Bennett for the MHS trip to Spain, May 27th through June 6th, 2024.
Thank you. Item B is basically the same thing. Item C is memorandum of understandings between the Miamisburg City School District and the Teamsters Union number 957. The superintendent and treasurer, CFO, recommend that the Board of Education approve the attached memorandums of understanding with the Teamsters Union number 957. MOUs, van drivers, revised salary grids. Teamsters vacation, error, MOU.
So the two MOUs on there for the van drivers, remember we added the classification of van drivers this year to help us reduce having to go out and get contracts from other companies. So as we went through it and starting to look at it, we realized that the driver was making less than the assistant on the van for that, and they should, obviously the driver with the responsibility should be at a higher revised pay for that. So what we did is we aligned it with the MD assistant pay grid, because our MD assistants, when they go to job sites, folk block and that, the MD assistants drive the vans at that time. So that puts them on the same salary who do the same jobs in terms of that. So one of the things as we go through and you get to the first couple and it's like, yeah, you need to look at that. We agree with you. And then the second one, there was a typo for the vacation. It should have been 25 and it was 22. So that's all that one was. So.
Okay, thank you. Item D, the superintendent of director services recommend that the following students be released or accepted for transportation purposes for the 2023-2024 2024 school year. West Carrollton City Schools accept transportation liability for Arma Powell for transportation services to attend Dayton Christian schools. Is this you, Mrs. Lucas?
No, that's
Steve?
mine.
Okay.
So what we try to do is we try to partner with other school districts around. If we have buses that go to certain schools and they're like right on the border, as you know, we have shortages with drivers just like everyone else. So we try to help each other out and share the transportation with transporting those students. So we've been good to West Carrollton. West Carrollton's been good for us, and it just works out that we're able to help them out. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good. Any questions? Okay, item E, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the revised student handbooks for elementary K through 5, Miamisburg Middle School, and the Miamisburg High School for the 2023-2024 school year.
That's just the suspension wording and just getting in there and getting corrected.
Okay?
It's highlighted in there if you want to see it.
Yeah, we saw, we got a chance to look at that. Thank you. F, item F. The approval and awarding of mini grants for 2023-2024 school year. Becky Benna, Laura Blessing, Danette Chance, Elise Haffenbrack, Lee Hieronymus, Joe Isakovich, Kathy Sperry, and Stacy Moore reviewed the mini grant proposals for the 2023-2024 school year. The attached addition to the list of projects is recommended for approval for the joint funding with the Board of Education and the Miamisburg Schools Education Foundation.
When you approved the mini grants last month, there was one that was still having some questions from the mini grant committee, and it was a chicken coop at Bear Elementary. And so the committee just had a lot of questions to make sure everything was being followed and prepared and thought of. So Miss Collins responded to their questions afterwards, and the project's been approved, so we just wanted to bring it to you. So go visit the chickens at Bear here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. That's good. What are they going to do with all the eggs? Item G, approval of the superintendent's agreements for free attendance. It is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves Madison Bell, Harith Khalil, and Caden Larrick for tuition-free enrollment for the 2023-24 school year per the Ohio Revised Code 3313.64. Superintendent agreement for free attendance.
These are seniors who moved in the summer before their senior year, so we're allowing them to continue. And then the next, just based on Ohio Revised Code and our board policy, they're tuition-free seniors who moved after school began this year. So those are what those two items are for.
G and H.
Yes.
Yep. So, I better go ahead and read it anyway here.
Sure.
It is recommended by a superintendent and high school principal that the Board of Education approves Destiny Miles for tuition-free enrollment for her senior year, per board policy JECB, in compliance with the state law and board policy. Non-resident students are exempt from paying tuition when the student is under the age of 22 and his or her parents move from the district following the commencement of classes during the student's senior year, for the remainder of the school year and for the additional semester. Tuition-free senior enrollment does not extend to out-of-state. Item I, approval of class of 2024 early graduates. Mr. Black, principal of Miamisburg High School, has recommended that Brianna Gregory, Vance Saunders, Aiden Walker for early graduation pending satisfactory completion of all state and local requirements. Go on.
I mean, they've earned their credits and are able to graduate early.
Ms. Moore, you want to say anything?
Most of these students are after-school program, and they're working away, and they're working fast. And then there's a graduate after this one, it's the same thing.
Thank you. Item J. It's approval of class of 2024 graduates from Miamisburg High School. As recommended that the Board of Education approve the, maybe back up. I went too far. Michael Black, principal of Miamisburg High School, has recommended that Aiden Freeman for graduation pending satisfactory completion of all state and local requirements. Item K, approval of consent items A through J. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve consent items A through J.
Second.
First from Ms. Neese, second from Mr. Hamsler. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we'll go on to Section 8 of Human Resources Agenda Items. Item A, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel reports. Employment of the Miamisburg City School District is contingent upon the candidate submitting to and passing a BCII and FBI criminal record check in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and pre-employment drug screening in accordance with the adopted board policies. Item B is the approval of personnel report supplemental stipend certificated and classified. Item C, it is recommended by the superintendent that Mr. Ed Hutchinson be awarded a 2-year, 261-day administrative contract with Miamisburg City Schools effective September 18th of 2023 through June 30th of 2026. Mr. Hutchinson will assume the role of maintenance supervisor on administrative salary schedule. Salary placement, administrative salary schedule, R1. Item D, it is recommended by the superintendent and the treasurer CFO that the Board of Education approve settlement between Miamisburg City School District Board of Education and Mrs. Pearl Drake.
We had a change in the policy, board policy on how severance was paid out, and due to a timing issue, Ms. Drake had not yet submitted her documents, but we had already discussed with her that she would be paid out the severance, and so this just allows us to pay her what we had told her she would be paid without violating the board policy that was changed.
And there were reasons for that to happen that we're not able to discuss. Okay. E, approval of human resources items A through D. Do I have a motion?
I move for the approval of human resources items A through D.
Second, please.
Second.
First from Mr. Mr. Daffler, second from Mr. Ansler. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter.
Yes.
Okay, and those items have passed. Section 9, agreements and contracts. The superintendent, treasurer, CFO, and director of business recommend that the following agreements be approved between the entities listed in the Miamisburg City School District. Senior Assistance Incorporated, expected to exceed $25,000.
This is a contract for transportation. I think Katie spoke on it before, and exceeds $25,000 because it's dependent upon different factors on what the actual cost is. So we couldn't list out an actual cost for the contract, but it's possible that it would exceed $25,000 because of mainly the fluctuation in gas prices, if I understand it correctly.
Well, that and over if you take the daily rate over the number of days of school we have, even the contract itself doesn't give you a total, but if you took the number of days of school the kid is going to attend times the daily rate, is going to exceed the $25,000.
Okay.
However, we are working on getting a van driver to take that, so potentially it will go away.
And what's the time frame, please?
I'm sorry, it's for the whole school year.
Okay. I was hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's the whole
25,000.
school year.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the following agreements be approved between the entities listed in the Miamisburg City School District Senior Assistants.
I second it.
Okay, so we had a first from Mrs. Gatter, second from Mrs. Neese. Roll call, please.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler.
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Okay, and those have passed. Next, we'll be looking at items A through D of the financial agenda. It is recommended by the Treasurer CFO that the appropriations and certificate of estimated resources be amended as listed in the attached reports.
This goes on monthly, and again, the appropriation resolution is just saying here is what has been budgeted from each fund, and then the amended official certificate of estimated resources tells us this is how much we expect to have in revenue, and so the county auditor just needs to see both of those, and we can't spend without board approval. So once we get board approval, I keep record of this. They come check it and make sure that we haven't budgeted more than what we expect to have in. It's just compliance.
Ann, is it okay?
It's good.
Okay. Thank you. Item B, the Treasurer CFO recommends the Board of Education approve the following transfer. General Fund 001 to fiscal year 24 mini grants 0199929, amount of $5,512.19. Fiscal year 23 mini grants 0199928, fiscal year 24 mini grants 0199929, in the amount of $1,741.03.
And this is just necessary to get the money over to the correct spot so that we're able to spend it for this year.
Okay. Thank you. Item C, the Treasurer CFO recommends that the Board of Education approve the following resolution to establish a fund for a new state grant. Preschool fund resolution.
Because we have to have board approval to spend money out of a fund, we got a new, I think it's an early childhood grant for this year. And since we've not received that grant and there was no fund that existed for it, we have to have a resolution to establish a fund. And then once you've approved that, then we can intake that money and budget it to spend it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dobson, did you want to say anything, or?
Well, I'm happy to share that we have received the grant, and am so pleased that this will likely make our expansion in our preschool efforts sustainable. We've been experiencing lots of training on the utilization of the grant, but we're very excited that we have been able to engage in this grant. I was on a webinar earlier this week, and they haven't expanded it in over 5 years, and so this opportunity is really great for our community and our youngest learners in Miamisburg.
Thank you. And since we're on this subject, I would just like to take 1 second to say that just a big thank yous to all of you sitting here, and teachers and the principals that have been working on a lot of grants recently. It seems like there's just been abundance of good things happening with these grants that everybody's applying for. So, thank all of you for everything that you've done, because it's just wonderful for our children. So, thank you. Okay. Where was I at? I'm sorry.
You're on D.
I'm on the, okay, thank you. I know, Chris, I'm getting wordy. Thank you. for not saying it. Thank you for not saying anything.
No, I
I can
I
read your
didn't
mind
say
all the way
it.
down here.
It was drawing like Mr. Lewis did. That's why I made a comment.
Oh, golly. I went fish with him today. It's fun. It's recommended by the treasurer, CFO, that the Board of Education approve the following purchase orders. $48,000 for the University of Dayton Auxiliary Professional Technical Services, $172,000 Dayton Cincinnati Technology New Computer Equipment Technology, then and now $3,783 American Bus and Accessories, then and now $4,188.88 for P&R Communications, then and now $5,000 Impact Group Incorporated, anybody?
Just board policy, if purchase order exceeds $25,000, it has to be approved by you all, and then and now's come through if an invoice exceeds what the original PO was for, or if the dates are off. Then and now.
All right, thank you. Item E, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the financial agenda items A through D. Do I have a motion, please?
I move for the approval of the financial items A alpha through D delta.
I second it.
Okay. Mr. Ambler first, second from Mrs. Neese. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes. And items A through D have passed. Next, we'll go to the acceptance of donations.
Okay. Yes, it is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following list of donations. All monies will be used through each school's 018 account unless indicated otherwise. School supplies valued at $50 and $100 to Mark Twain Elementary School from Kathleen and James Casper. School supplies valued at approximately $300 to the Miamisburg City School District from Celitus Technologies. $250 to Bauer Elementary School for student lunches from the Board of Directors and staff at Habitat Condominiums. The next are Viking Valhalla donations. Amount indicated is the total of a 3-year pledge unless otherwise indicated. $1,775 from Megan Cole, $355 from Shelley Moody, $355 from Elizabeth Newman, $1,750 from the Sunderman family. Donations in memory of Joe Isakovich for the Viking Valhalla, $25 from Scott and Cindy Gilbert, $75 from Jane Chance Elementary School staff, $25 from Valera Jones, $100 from John and Danielle Keenley, and then donations to Miamisburg City Schools in memory of Jennifer Templin, $50 from the Bauer Elementary School staff, $100 from John and Lynn Cow, $100 from Steve and Beth Hopkins, $40 from James Norton, $200 from Michelle and Greg Orfall, $25 from Pamela and Charles Stewart, $25 from Linda Wells, $50 from Teresa and Andrew Wolf, and $50 from Karen Vingris.
Thanks, Ann. Obviously, the board thanks everybody for all the donations, and it's always every month. It's good to see that we have quite a few donations coming in. I would like to remind people for the Valhalla, the Viking Valhalla. Dr. Blessing, would you address that, please? Just what it is now. I know we discussed it once before, but just say why it's the way that it is now.
Sure. Initially, the district had a Campus Quest campaign when they were building Holland Field. So this is just a way to continue to help fund the field, any debt that is incurred there, any projects such as bleachers or turf upgrades. So this is a way to continue the fundraising efforts to keep all of our activity fields, especially Holland Field, operational and in good shape. So.
Okay, thank you. And, you know, there's so many people that I run into, you know, and they say how beautiful that our stadium is, you know, because it's in the usage of it, we have soccer on there, and all ages of soccer play there too. And we have, of course, the band and the guard, and football. Mr. Homan can tell us. Oh, I'm sorry, lacrosse. Yeah, and some of the things that the bands hold there. Now we've got fields that really all over our district now that allows us to have the competitions and stuff that we do. And there's so many people that I run into are very complimentary of that too. So anyway, thanks. Next, we'll move on to reports. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a motion to please accept the donations.
I move to accept donations.
A
Second, please.
second.
Mrs. Gatter, that was you?
Mm-hmm, it was.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Daffler first, second from Mrs. Gatter.
Mrs. Daffler, or Mr. Daffler.
Excuse you, sir. Oh, I was going to compliment you tonight, but I'll take that back.
I screwed it up. I made it this far. Mr. Daffler.
Yes.
Mrs. Getter.
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Mr. Tovine.
Yes.
Mr. Hamsley.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the donations. We'll go to the reports. Our legislative liaison, Mr. Corey Daffler.
Everybody's just got back into Columbus here past week and a half or so. One of their major things is to try to get a political map drawn up for the election. I think they submitted one yesterday. On that, there's a House Bill 235 that is looking to have a fully elected 15-member state board of education, which would go against the previous bill that just passed that stripped all the power away from the state board, and they made it the Department of Education and Workforce. But also in that bill, they were wanting to make the school board races take it off the nonpartisan ticket and make it a partisan election. So I think that takes away certain people from running, and it would make it a little bit more political than it already is, which I don't think would be a very good move. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Then also with the Mike DeWine has created a Ohio School Bus Safety Work Group due to the accident up the road from us. And some of the things they're looking at is school bus regulations, school bus design, maintenance, driver's license, crash risks, lessons learned from other school bus accidents, school bus seat belts, safety of special population. What I found interesting in that first meeting, since 2018, there have been more than 6,000 crashes involving school buses in the state of Ohio. Those crashes account for less than 1% of the automobile crashes in the state. So more than not, the school bus drivers are doing a great job getting kids around. I think if you look at this scenario there, if other laws were being taken care of, that guy wouldn't have been here to cause that accident. So the school bus drivers aren't at fault at all here. Then, part of some of the budget that got passed, just hit on a couple topics here. They expanded the free lunch to those who previously only qualified for reduced pricing. The program doesn't get started until October 3rd, but the district will get reimbursed for all money covering those costs. There's also going to be a required curricula aligned with the science of reading to help the learning gap accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, districts may focus on training staff to teach with the science of reading, since the state allocated $86 million for teacher training programs. The state also set aside $18 million for districts to hire literacy coaches to help with science of reading, and $64 million for districts to establish new curriculum that is aligned with the science of reading in 24-25 school year and beyond. I think this is pretty important because I think there is a huge gap for those kids, especially in second and third grade during the pandemic, that are kind of struggling. So I think that's a good focus there. Something else that there's some money in there with to help with some of the teacher problems. They announced a new teacher apprenticeship program. This program is looks at to address the shortage that the hire faces, as well as creating career opportunities as teachers for those who already work in our schools, like paraprofessionals, library specialists, or bus drivers. Candidates participating in the new teacher apprenticeship program are also eligible for a new Grow Your Own Teacher Scholarship. The Grow Your Own Teacher Scholarship recently passed a provision in the state budget, provides a $7,500 per year for 4 years in exchange for committing to teach in a qualifying Ohio school for at least 4 years. Information on that program is on the Ohio website under higher education. I didn't really look at all the qualifications, but there's people that have other jobs that maybe might be excited to try to take advantage of getting some extra money to get a better job. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Student Achievement Liaison, Mr. Chris Amford.
First, I want to say congratulations to the Miamisburg High School 2023 homecoming court. Ellie Jennings, Tia Cosby, Lexi Blair, Lily Anderson, Brooklyn Cotton, Katie Cummins, Allie Freeze, Jordan Head, Ava Jurgens, Katie Massey, Ella Savely, Ava Stevens, Jaylee Thomas, Ben Keppel, Omar Akaswali, Nathan Jemison, Katie Anderson, or Kyle Anderson, sorry, Kyle Anderson, Dane Hop, Jaden Bruton, Xander Atkinson, Preston Barr, Abel Enga, Deaton Shade, Fletcher Rose, Tristan Linville, and Noah Engel. So congratulations to them. Next, Fedora Bakken has been named a semifinalist in the National Merit Scholarship Program. She will have the opportunity to continue in the competition from some 7,140 National Merit Scholarships worth nearly $28 million that will be offered next spring. To be considered as a Merit Scholarship Award semifinalist, you must fulfill several requirements to advance to the finalist level of the competition. About 95% of the semifinalists are expected to obtain finalist standings, and approximately half of the finalists will win a National Merit Scholarship, earning the Merit Scholarship title. And finally, Martha Holding Jennings Foundation selected the story Jessica Lay submitted about Gail Felix and Jennifer Christensen to share, honor, and celebrate excellent teaching. Our district will receive a check for $500 for Gail's classroom and $500 for Jennifer's classroom. Jessica's story will be shared through their blog, the Martha Holdings Jennings Foundation, and also can be followed on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. The blog will be posted, and you will use Jessica's submitted for the other 3 social media platforms to celebrate, honor, and highlight Gail and Jennifer further in the coming days. So congratulations to all of them.
Thank you. Thank you for reading that, too. Next, we'll go to board comments and staff comments. And before I move on to, before we do that, I'd like to say that item B, where there's public comments, I did not have any green sheets, so we will not be doing that this evening.
Can you do the drug coalition report?
I missed that. Yes, please do.
Okay. Yeah, we had our meeting today, and schools will soon be getting info on the annual poster and poetry contest. I know last year we had a winner from Miamisburg. Today, some of this information is a little disturbing, but I think it's information that our community does need to know. There was a guest speaker, and he was a task force commander captain, Terry Abels, and he spoke about the 2 main cartels, drug cartels that we have in this area, and how Dayton is a source city for drug trade due to I-75 and I-70. And it just talks about the 2 cartels there a little bit on the screen. And then he also shared a map that shows the drug type being used most often in Montgomery County. And you can see it on there. And those 3 drugs that are on that pie chart are fentanyl, meth, and marijuana. Okay. And then a big concern was this xylylene, and I think I talked about that a little bit in our July meeting. It's actually a veterinary anesthesia, and it's sold for about $6 a kilo, okay, whereas fentanyl, which is a synthetic opiate, costs 40 to 90 grand a kilo. So what they're doing is they're cutting that xylylene into the fentanyl in order to make more of a profit, okay? And although Narcan will help in this type of overdose, there is no counteractive medication for xylylene. Not much is known about the withdrawal, and there really aren't any treatment centers for it at this point. There have been some major drug seizures recently in Montgomery County, and 30% of those drugs contain the xylylene. The sheriff reported that the dealers in these cartels are becoming quite violent. He also said that the media has little interest in the recent seizure activity, and he was just highly disappointed about that. So there's some concerns out there and things to be aware of for our students and our community. That's all.
Yeah. And I'll add to that the death rates have jumped up.
Yeah, 6% of fatal overdoses.
Yeah. Thanks, Ann. I'm just going to say ditto.
Do you want to do student? Oh, I said no. District news. Oh, we don't have any district news, do we?
Yeah, Chris did it.
I already did district news.
Okay. Oh. Student achievement's what we didn't have. Okay.
I just did it all.
Yeah.
I just kept rolling.
Yeah.
Mr. Blevins, you're next.
You going around the room? You going around the room?
Oh, it's
You're not?
ditto.
It's over. No, we will. Go on ahead.
I moved to end this thing.
Mr. Ambler.
You got anything to say?
My own presentation was great, and thanks for everybody's hard work, and we're halfway through the first semester, quarter? Quarter, and everything seems to be going smoothly, and thanks for everybody's hard work. That's all I got.
Ms. Keller, I will say as well, thanks to Denise and Gina, I really liked genius presentation because it got kids outside. It got them away from electronics. It got them, looking at things. It got us downtown. I really liked that. Looked like she had a blast doing it. So that was really neat. So tell her thank you very much. So it was an excellent start off to the year. So that was great. Thank you. And then I will move on by just saying that how much of a tremendous loss that we all have felt over the last few weeks in regards to Joe's passing. Those are big shoes. He was a big asset to me over the 10 years that I was here. And that's very unexpected and very much a tragedy for our students, Miami Valley Career Technology students, and this community. So with that being said, my heart goes out to the family, but we will honor him the best we can with the next person that goes in that position. So I'll just leave it at that and move on. So.
Well, I'm just excited to be here, and I want to thank the custodians because today Mrs. Thomas and I met, and I was able to take a tour of the middle school. Oh my goodness, it was so immaculate. The hallways were just clean. I even pointed it out to Mrs. Thomas. I said, "Look down that hallway." I said, it's so amazingly clean. So for our students to be able to attend schools that are clean, that contributes to their wellness. And I'm all about wellness. So that was great today. I thank you again for meeting with me today. And then the Mound presentation was so exciting. I'm a Mound alumni. So I really appreciate all that you're doing there.
Yeah, thanks to Mound School for the presentation. I love the purposeful people and how, we're using that same program in every building. And I think Mrs. Moore, I believe, no, was it Mrs. Lucas? You said that we could even do another program that aligns with that. Yeah, Character Strong. Yeah. So that would be great. And just my sympathies to the Isakovich family, like Chris said, due to the loss of Joe. And I just also wanted to thank all of our mentors for committing to another year of mentoring. More mentors are actually in training right now, and about 45 mentors will be on board this fall. And if any community member is interested in mentoring, contact Sarah Pelfrey, SPELPHREY, at miamisburg.k12.oh.us.
I know her. My daughter. I'll just go right over to Mr. Blevins. I thank you guys, everything you said. Yes.
I thought I spoke clearly and intelligently until I called Corey Mrs. Daffler, so maintain the less I speak, the better off I am.
No comment. His hair, he's got to grow a little hair there before he can do that.
Is that it, Mr.? Okay. Just a couple announcements. First of all, board, I didn't talk about this during the board discussion, but homecoming is next week, so I know that all of the schools will be doing a lot of fun activities, and I've heard about some of those. Our homecoming parade is Thursday evening at 6 p.m., so the board and the district office have some, we'll have something, a floater, probably not, maybe a truck or some golf carts, and Victor the Viking is joining us to walk and hand out some fun stuff for the kids and any adult who would like to have that and get ready for our game. Right now, we are at Northmont this evening under Thursday Night Lights, and the latest score was 12-7 Northmont, and it just concluded their first quarter. So it's on TV this evening, so let's be sure to tune in. Real quick, on our not Facebook website, under the main page, we have a new tab for anyone, and it's called Know the Facts. So again, I know Mrs. Neese shared about our mentor program. There's a lot of information out there. Sometimes social media gets it right, sometimes they don't. Our website is factual, I promise. The information we share and provide our community and our parents and our students. So we've got some information about the elementary program that we talked about earlier. We've got some budget information on there. We're going to have our latest report card data to show how we've been improving since COVID and how we're getting past that learning gap and working on that recovery period. So this will be a place where you can go to find updated information and then also link it to additional information that's on our website. And Brenda Hibbert is our webmaster, and she does a wonderful job. So, and if there's things that you would like to know more about that aren't on this page, you can contact her. Her contact information is there, and we'll make sure to get you that correct information because, again, we want to make sure that you are hearing the facts and understanding what's going on in our school district. A lot of exciting things going on all the time. So thank you. And please get us those dates for the work session so Mrs. Dobson and I can have everything prepared for elementary programming. We are getting down to crunch time. Our committee is ready to make a recommendation, and we want to have plenty of time for the community and our students and our parents and everyone to get ready. Mr. Homan to do his part in the move of whatever needs to be moved for next year. So a lot of exciting things going on in our district, and we just want to thank everyone for all they do and the support that you give our schools because it truly makes a difference. So we want to just thank everyone for that and the board for your continued support of all of our programs in our schools. And go Vikings. Lots of time left in the game this evening.
I'm going to put a plug in this evening we are always looking for subs to come into our district, whether they're teacher subs, classified subs. We talked a lot about some people don't want to be a bus driver, but they said, hey, I can do a van. So we will work with you. We will get you trained in terms of all of that. So if on our website, if you go under Human Resources, there's plenty of opportunities to sign up to be subs in multiple different areas. So I would encourage you, especially for if your kids are in school and you're looking to kind of do some things while your kids are at school, you can actually work and just sub in one building. You can sub and work in all buildings. We're very, very flexible with the schedule. So take some time. You know, to come in and meet with Heather, meet with myself. We can go through and get you signed up for lots of different things to sub for us. So,
Steve, let people know about the requirements for the van since it's less than a bus driver.
Yeah, for both being a van and bus driver, you have to be certified by the state of Ohio, and we provide the training for that. Bus drivers are a higher paid position than a van driver, but we are very competitive. In terms of that.
The van drivers don't need a CDL, correct?
Van drivers do not need a CDL.
Thank you.
And then I just want to echo what Chris said with our deepest sympathies to the Zakovich family. I know through my whole career here, Joe has always been there. He's been a friend. He's been a mentor. He has served on many, many things in this community. When we look at our soccer program and things like that, Joe was he was a founding member of the Recreational League and how that has grown, and was a very big supporter to get the girls' soccer program up to where it is today. Joe worked on many, many things as a board member, worked tirelessly on levy campaigns, and one thing that I always learned about Joe is he always made sure whatever we did, the best decisions were made for kids first. And so, as Chris said, the best ways that we can honor him is to carry on his tradition and his thoughts and his beliefs and philosophies. And sometimes I ask myself, what would Joe do, in terms of that? So our deepest sympathies to the Zakovich family, and we will continue to keep Joe's memory strong in our district.
Ladies? Okay. I would like a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
We need a first.
I
Dale
move
did.
to adjourn.
I thought Dale
Okay,
did it.
Mr. Toadvine did a first, and Mr. Ambler did a second. Roll call.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes?
Mr. Daffler.
Yes.
Okay, and we are
For
adjourned
the
at
correct calling.
7:56.